Hi, Pete the Wargamer here, and in this video I'll be showing you how to quick bash this combi plasma bolt rifle. I began with a primerous bolt rifle and removed the muzzle and other protruding elements from the front. I did this with my clippers before smoothing back the surface with a combination of my knife and file. For the plasma weapon details, I grabbed a plasma pistol from the assault intercessors. I started with the vented muzzle and used my knife to carefully scour a vertical cut, just behind the vents and following the existing seam. Using a knife here is a little trickier than clippers, but this will result in a clean cut that won't damage the other parts of the weapon. The trick is to just make a series of light, shallow cuts rather than using a lot of pressure. Once removed, I cleaned up the cut and compared it against the front of the bolter, making further trims as necessary to ensure a flush fit. Continuing with the plasma pistol, I then clipped away the section containing the vents and smoothed out each side. I intended to add the plasma vents to the existing gap in the bolt rifle, but it was clear that the gap would need to be widened before I could do this. I made my cut at a point roughly halfway across the square panel at the back of the rifle. Generally speaking, it's better to cut away less than you think. That way you can always cut away more if you have to. With space made, I then cut the middle section of the plasma pistol in half, so that just the upper vents remained. I compared this against the bolter, but I still needed to make further adjustments with my knife and file in order to get the two fitting together. Once the vents were the right size, I glued them into place, followed by the muzzle that I'd already removed. The only thing left to do now was to attach the conventional magazine to the bolter. The upper half that featured the scope wouldn't fit now that I'd added the vents, so I made my cut just above the ejection port. I followed these up with a couple more cuts after doing some quick comparisons before finally gluing the magazine into place and completing the weapon. And here we have the completed weapon attached to a Space Marine. This kind of thing would be perfect to represent a more specialized weapon in your squads. Maybe in a kill team, or as an alternative for an Astartes grenade launcher in your Death Watch, like I've done here. Either way, it's an easy way to add a little variety to your regular Marines, and I'd highly recommend giving it a go. If you enjoyed this quick kit bash, let me know in the comments below, and feel free to leave me your ideas for future conversions you'd like to see me take on. Before I go, just let me give a shout out to all of my extremely gracious Patreon supporters. You guys make these guides possible, so thank you for your continued support. And so until next time, thanks for watching, and goodbye.